All right, today we're diving into a massive shift in smart home technology. Google is putting its super powerful AI Gemini into pretty much everything, from our speakers to our doorbells. So the big question is, are our homes finally about to get a real, honest-to-goodness genius upgrade? But hey, let's be real for a second. How smart is your smart home really? Does it ever feel like you're just yelling the same exact commands at a gadget that has the memory of a goldfish? Yeah, if you're nodding along, you are definitely not alone. I mean, these are the frustrations most of us just live with, right? You have to say the phrase perfectly. The device has zero clue what you asked it literally 3 seconds ago. You get a notification every single time a leaf blows past your front camera. And because every little thing has to go to the cloud and back, it's slow, it feels totally reactive, it doesn't anticipate your needs, it just sits there waiting for you to tell it what to do. But that dream of a home that's actually intelligent, a home that's proactive, has been the holy grail for a very long time. And for a company like Google, this isn't just some new product launch, it's really the finish line of a journey that's been more than a decade in the making. So let's just quickly trace how we got here. It all kicked off back in 2014 when Google bought Nest and got into the hardware game. Then in 2016, Google Assistant gave all that hardware a voice. But the real game changer, the moment everything shifted, was in 2023 with Gemini. That's the brain. And it's what's making this whole new ecosystem possible in 2025. So what is the secret sauce? What's the ingredient that's supposed to change everything? Well, it all boils down to one thing: Gemini, the new brains of the entire operation. So, in plain English, Gemini is what's called a multimodal AI. What on earth does that mean? Well, it means it can understand text, images, audio, and video all at the same time. It's not just processing one stream of information, it's putting everything together to get a full, contextual picture of what is actually happening around it. And this right here, this is maybe the most important change of all: where the thinking happens. The old way was to send all your data up to the cloud. It's kind of like having to call headquarters for every single decision. This new approach uses a version called Gemini Nano, which lives right there on your device. That means analysis is instant, your data stays local and private, and it works even if your internet cuts out. It's the difference between asking for permission and just knowing what to do. Okay, so you've got this powerful new brain. What does that actually change for you in your own home? Let's take a look at how this tech totally reimagines the experience. Google is rolling this out with 3 core products: brand new security cameras, a completely redesigned video doorbell, and a smart speaker that's been seriously supercharged. And trust me, each one is a huge leap forward. Let's start with a camera. I want you to just forget about simple motion alerts. This camera doesn't just see movement, it understands the scene. It can tell the difference between a delivery driver dropping off a package, your neighbor doing some gardening, or something that's actually weird, like a stranger with a ladder in your yard in the middle of the night. Because it gets the context, it almost completely eliminates all those useless alerts. All right, next up is the doorbell. And this is where things start to feel like they're straight out of science fiction. It doesn't just show you who's at your door. It can actually have a conversation for you. Just check out this flow. Imagine you're not home and a courier shows up. The doorbell's AI can actually speak and give specific instructions, like please leave the package by the bench to your left. Then all you get is a simple, clean notification telling you it's done. The entire interaction is just handled, no stress for you. And finally, there's the speaker. This quote really nails the change. Or moving away from a device you just bark commands at, it's becoming the central nervous system of your house, an ambient intelligence hub. So what does this hub actually do? Well, if you let it, it can listen passively for critical sounds, like a smoke alarm or the sound of glass breaking. You can give it complex, multi-part commands without having to say, "Hey Google," over and over again. But here's the coolest part. It watches the patterns in your home and starts to suggest automations. It learns your routines to make the whole system feel truly proactive. Okay, this all sounds absolutely incredible. But this level of intelligence, it doesn't come for free. And I'm not talking about the price tag. We really have to hit pause here and ask some really tough questions before we bring this kind of tech into our homes. The first, and let's face it, the most obvious question is all about privacy. When you have cameras that can understand scenes and speakers that are always listening, who exactly is watching and listening in? The bottom line is we're inviting constant surveillance into the most private parts of our lives. And yeah, on-device processing helps, but it doesn't eliminate the risk of hackers or government data requests. And given Google's track record with data collection, a little skepticism is probably healthy. This could even change the dynamic inside our families, chipping away at the very idea of what privacy means at home. The second huge question is about performance. We're meant to believe this genius AI is flawless, but is it actually going to be fair and accurate for every single person? Here's the thing. AI makes mistakes. If it misses a real threat, that's a massive security failure. But a false alert can cause some serious panic. And we already know that these systems can have biases. What happens if the AI misidentifies a member of your own family as an intruder? These aren't just little bugs. These are mistakes with very real consequences. And that leads to the final big concern. What happens when we start to truly rely on this one system for everything, for our security, for our daily routines? What are the risks when we become that dependent? Well, for one, we risk getting locked into a single company's world. Once you've spent all that money and time, switching to a competitor is a massive pain. But more importantly, it creates a huge single point of failure. A big software bug or a major security breach wouldn't just affect one house. It could compromise the security and basic functions of millions of homes all at once. So, this is where we land. We're at the very heart of this huge technological leap. It feels like we're standing at a crossroads, trying to balance this absolutely unprecedented promise with some very real and maybe unavoidable peril. When you boil it all down, it's this trade-off right here. On one side, you have the promise, truly proactive security, real convenience. But on the other side, you've got the peril, constant surveillance, getting locked into one system, and the very real risks of an AI that can make mistakes. This is the fundamental choice that we are all facing with this new technology. And that leaves us with this one last crucial question to think about. The technology is here, and there's no doubt its power. But as we start inviting this genius into our homes, how do we make absolutely sure that it's serving our interests and not just the interests of the company that made it?